Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back again, ladies and gents. Ladies and gents, today's a great day, Arsenal recently just won 3-0 to Sunderland. So, I'm feeling good right now. I mean, I was always feeling good because I'm a child of God. This one's a little bit of a cherry on top. You get what I'm saying? Anyways, today I wanted to talk a little bit about a very real dilemma that I see today, which is inclusivity. Not the inclusivity that you're probably thinking about, but the inclusivity in the sense of this can be true for you, but not for me. And that's okay. We all have our own truth. You see, religion is one aspect of society which people often present the idea of shared truths, the idea that different paths can lead to heaven. In fact, I vividly remember being in the taxi one day and the driver said to me something along the lines of, "You know what, mate? I strongly believe that all religions are true, and I tell you what, I don't want to hear people disrespect other religions by saying that they're false. They each do their own things and make people happy, so they're all true, and that's that." It just so happened that he was dropping me off at church. But truth be told, I kind of stayed quiet during that taxi ride when he was talking, more so nodding in, that kind of vibe. Because to be honest, what I was thinking was, man, let me just get to church before this guy drops me off at a bridge or something, if I say anything. But honestly, I think that this idea of inclusivity of truths amongst religions is the result of society often grouping the teachings of different religions together, as if they all have the same message. But if you pay attention, I don't think they do, like, at all. Christianity, for example, proclaims to be the one true religion. In fact, all the other religions that are popular, including Islam and Judaism, communicate that their revelations are true. Now, obviously, I'm a Christian, so I'll be focusing on what Christianity has to say about the idea that all paths of faith are true. Because you see, Christianity makes three bold claims that greatly contradict that notion. For starters, in Christianity, we believe that Jesus is God. I mean, he says so himself. Just listen to what he says in John chapter 10, verses 30. Jesus says boldly to the Jews, "I and the Father are one." Just hold on a minute. But other religions like Islam and Judaism claim that Jesus was just a prophet. A great prophet from God, but nothing more. That straight away would have me shaking my head and what's going on here? I need to understand a bit better. Because clearly a messenger from God is different from God. God deserves worship, whilst the messenger deserves, well, thanks for passing on the message. You see, when Jesus claimed that he is God, there was no going back. He was either a liar or crazy, or Jesus is in fact God in the flesh. You see how having inclusivity of all religions doesn't quite work here. Both of these statements can't be true at the same time. Jesus cannot be only a prophet, but then also God. Because a prophet that claims to be God is a blasphemer. Isn't that why the Jews at the time wanted to stone Jesus? Because his claim was in direct opposition to their belief. Just listen to their response to what he said to them. They said, "We are not stoning you for any good work, but for blasphemy, because you, a mere man, claim to be God." Secondly, Christianity claims that Jesus died and was resurrected after 3 days. In fact, this claim, I don't know why I did that. This claim is so pivotal that Paul flat out says this in 1 Corinthians chapter 15. And if Christ has not been raised, our preaching is useless, and so is your faith. I mean, you tell me the weight of Paul's language here. Does the Bible leave any opening for the possibility of salvation for us if Jesus did not actually resurrect? In fact, Paul confidently asserts to the church in Corinth. He says, if Jesus died and stayed dead, this gospel that we're preaching is pointless. Let's just go home and take a nap, because our sins have not been forgiven at all. So we may as well just continue what we were doing before. Why? Because the Bible tells us that our sin is so great that God sent his son down to die, to take our punishment in death, but then to resurrect and return to heaven, having conquered death, giving us the victory over our sin, and thus leaving us to spend eternity with God. If Jesus wasn't resurrected, we will serve the punishment for our sin. We will spend eternity away from God. Compare that to other religions that say that Jesus died and stayed dead. Or in Islam that state that Jesus did not actually die. It just looked like he died. Can someone resurrect if they didn't really die? If Jesus did not actually die, were my sins actually paid for? The last bold claim that Christianity makes is this: Jesus is the only way for us to receive our salvation. Jesus himself says, "I am the way, the truth, and the life. No one comes to the Father except through me." Let's go a step further. Paul makes it clear in Ephesians to us that we are saved by grace through faith, and this faith is not from ourselves. Rather, it was given to us by God, so that we cannot boast about how good we are. Two things are very apparent here. Not only does Christianity teach that Jesus is the only way into heaven, but that we are given this access to heaven as a gift, not as a reward for what we do. So when we compare this to alternate proclamations of different religions, we see that they teach that we get into heaven on Judgment Day based on the number of good actions we do over our lifetime. I mean, that's quite a stark contrast. I think I probably know what I would personally start thinking in this alternate scenario. For one, what if I were to die right after doing something bad? What happens to me if the bad things that I do outweigh the good things that I do? You see, these two proclamations of how we get into heaven have very significant implications for our life. Am I, as a flawed human, doomed to pursue endless good when I know that I complete endless bad? Or have I received a mercy that means that I can put my trust in God and receive forgiveness that I frankly don't deserve? ultimately, guys, we cannot be saved by what we do and by the grace of God through Jesus Christ. If you have to earn a gift, it's not a gift. Okay. Now that I've said all of this, so what? Like, how should all of this that I've said, that I've been spilling out, impact us as believers, basically? Well, I think it means that we as believers should take our mission seriously. We're convinced by the truth of the gospel, right? Well, if we are, that means that it is also true that those who don't hear the gospel and don't believe will not go into heaven. This is life or death, brother. So we shouldn't really be so quick to be quiet, to keep quiet when someone says, well, this can be true for you, but not for me. I think me personally, I'm a little bit ashamed to say that I've not taken instructions of spreading the gospel seriously. Too often I've kind of fallen into the mindset of, it's a bit awkward, or I don't want to upset the dynamic. We've been talking for a while. I don't want to mess it all up and cause it to lead to an argument. To refer back to the taxi ride that happened before, a greater conviction could have caused me to ask the driver a simple searching question, such as, you know what, mate? I hear what you're saying, I understand, but do you think that they all have the same message about truth? Or do they maybe say things that are contradictory or conflicting to what the other one says? What we say, I don't think needs to be profound, but maybe we can help to sow a seed of curiosity in someone's hearts by opening the door to investigate whether multiple truths about salvation can coexist. Because a curious heart is a heart that is closer to knowing Jesus. I know it's not easy, but I want to encourage you that being a light means challenging ideas about multiple truths about salvation from different religions. I hope that kind of made sense. You get my gist. But let me know what you guys have experienced in terms of having those conversations, because it's not easy. How have you initiated it? How have you continued the conversations of multiple religions not being true, or there's one truth, so what does that mean for the others? I'm sure it can get quite complicated, but I'm curious, because perhaps there's something that you guys can probably tell me that I can take and apply. We're all in this together, but anyways, that's the video. Please like, comment, subscribe, and peace.